Hello and welcome to round one of our Pauper Daily event. We're playing Mono Black Control, and we are lucky enough to have absolutely dominated the die roll, so congratulations, we get to play first. This hand is sort of an example of the kinds of somewhat frustrating hands the deck can get. It doesn't really have anything on two, but it's got a removal spell, it's got 3 swamps, so we're going to hit our first 3 land drops, and probably the 4th given the Phyrexian Rager, so we're going to keep it. And our opponent is mulliganing to 6 and 5, which means he's probably something that is relatively draw dependent. I'm guessing a storm variant of some sort, or the mono green infect deck, which everyone knows and loves. So, he is indeed the mono green infect deck. We're not going to be particularly fancy or anything. We're just going to get rid of the Glistener Elf immediately. These guys have Invigorate, they've got Might of Old Krosa, they've got Vines of the Vastwood, typically, which we'll have to be careful not to be blown out with. The Tendrils here is, you know, something that could go terribly, horribly wrong. So he's got multiple infect creatures. Some of the variants don't actually play enough. We're going to play a Phyrexian Rager here to get a decent blocker down. Our life total doesn't really matter, and we really want to be able to hit our land drop next turn so we can cast Tendrils. And thankfully, our draw off the Rager got the land drop, so we're good to go. Now, our opponent here is, well, I guess just attacking. So he's probably using at least one pump spell this turn. I'm a little confused by this, but maybe he's got another creature like a Despair or something in hand that he's planning on using. I'll take it. Honestly, getting spells out of their hand and just sort of draining them as much as you can is a big part of playing against this deck. And here's our friend the Despair, so we're honestly in pretty decent shape. We're going to cast Liliana Spectre here. Get rid of the last card in his hand. Take 3 infect. And next turn we'll be getting rid of the Despair, most likely. Right now the race is not incredibly favorable, but I can live with stalling for a turn or two. So, he's got nothing. We take 3 poison. And another creature. So he is doing relatively well for himself in terms of the total number of creatures he's drawn, that kind of thing. We can pretty much stall for 1 more turn. So we're going to Chittering Rats. No card in his hand, rather unfortunately. And Sign in Blood ourselves. Getting up to our 6th land, and another Innocent Blood, which is great. Crack in for 2, because we're not going to be double blocking the Despair. We'll just be hitting up the Glistener Elf with the Chittering Rats, going to 6 poison. His 4 power, he can draw Invigorate and kill us with that particular line of play, but his other pump spells don't get it done. So it has to be just Invigorate. Here, we will block, because he didn't attack with the Glistener Elf, we're going to block with the Blight Mamba and just let him shrink our Chittering Rats. We're perfectly okay with that. Life goes on. And we go to 5 poison. So, let's see here. We can get rid of 2 of his creatures. Or we can just sandbag our instant speed removal. chump block with the Chittering Rats, or, well, let's see. Let's think this through. If we use Tendrils and Geth's Verdict, we can essentially stall his entire offense unless he's got some sort of trample plus giant growth infect that gets him through the Chittering Rat, gets the Glistener Elf through, and deals 5 damage with trample, which is somewhat unlikely. If we go Chittering Rats and then Innocent Blood Geth's Verdict, we can get him down to essentially just the Cisbear. We would sacrifice our Chittering Rats. He would then attack. So I think we're probably going to be on the double instant plan here. Getting rid of 2 of his creatures at the end of his turn. And so with that in mind, just attack with the Spectre and be done. Let's see how this plays out. He's up to 2 cards in his hand, so chances are one of those is a pump spell of some sort. We're going to let him attack. He is sending... Interesting. Not the Blight Mamba. I'm not sure whether that means he wants to block and is worried about getting Okiba ganged, or is otherwise confused. But in any event, we're going to Verdict him. He's, I would assume, going to sacrifice the Blight Mamba. Oh, no. Okay. In that case, we are going to... Let's see if he has a Vines of the Vastwood. Let's block here. Better safe than sorry. Next turn we will be able to play a Chittering Rats out as another blocker. We can keep getting in. So... Actually, end of turn, we're going to cast this here, forcing him to trade a pump spell if he has it, without getting any offensive potential out of it. Or he just doesn't have it. So we've got a lot of removal. Removal is our friend. We like removal. Pre-combat Chittering Rats, just to potentially clean out any tricks he might have. Obviously, it's not going to get a trick that he wants to kill our Liliana Spectre with, but we can live with that. So, beat in, and be done. Okay, not the most pleasant of things to be facing down, but also certainly not the worst. Play out the land just in case we have to fight through a bunch of pump spells, and keep sending our Liliana Spectre cheerfully through the air. The plan here is most likely to... As much as I would like to not have to chump, we're going to have to chump. If he's got Vines of the Vastwood, we're dead. He doesn't. That's nice. So let's find out what's going on over there. He has rather a lot of creatures. Okay. So this is actually going to be relatively challenging. This is where our Innocent Bloods are really actually feeling quite awkward. We'll take 3 more, going to 9 poison, and then we will have to use our tricks next turn. I suppose we're dead to any pump spell here, but we're dead to any pump spell here. unless we cast both Innocent Bloods last turn. Which is possibly correct. So, does he have it? He's taking his time. Which means he might well have it. And he does. We're dumb. And that's the end of game 1. We get a bit greedy, and that's all she wrote. So, anyways, sideboarding. We pretty much want all of our creature removal in the sideboard. And the Morbid Plunders, because we're going to be doing a lot of trading. We're pulling the Dresses because, while it's nice to see his hand, it's really not a huge deal. Beyond that, I think we actually want to just pull Sign in Bloods, as those are sort of cards to win the control matchup, and we're just planning to completely overload him on removal and card advantage and win that way. So, we will submit this and see you back for the second round.